Yeah, that's off the dome. Off the dome.
All right, let me be clear about something real quick. A lot of people say door knocking doesn't work anymore, but what they really mean is they're uncomfortable doing it. Door knocking doesn't fail salespeople; it exposes them.
Yeah, Ian, I would agree with that. I mean, that is the reality. I mean, most people, are awkward at best, knocking on a complete stranger's door, introducing themselves, and introducing a service to them. So, yeah, I would agree with that.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Before You Say No. This is Ian Kennedy.
Art Espinoza.
And this show is for people who actually work in the field, not just talk about it online. If you're in roofing, home services, sales, or you're building a company, this podcast is about what actually works, what doesn't, and the lessons you only learn the hard way. Last week, we talked about why door knocking is not dead, despite what the industry keeps saying. Today, we're taking that one step further, because door knocking doesn't just generate leads, it reveals who you really are in sales. So this episode isn't about hype, it's about accountability. We're going to talk about why so many reps hate door knocking, what exposes about skill and discipline, and why owners still use it as a filter, whether they admit it or not. So if this topic makes you uncomfortable, good. That means you're exactly who this episode was for.
Absolutely. I've been doing this for a minute now, so when I'm speaking to new hires and we're talking to new sales managers who we are trying to do our best as business owners, we want our guys to be educated, right? To know the process of what we're doing, how we do it. But more importantly, we want them to get comfortable. And so when we start doing our training, we absolutely want to kind of throw them into role play with, pretending to be on a door, what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. I think we've both realized it's pretty important to do that. I'm not a believer of a person who feels uncomfortable at knocking on the door is a bad salesperson. They're just not been trained properly so that they have the confidence. And once you get the confidence, man, it's on, right?
No, absolutely. And that leads me into, I believe there's 4 simple reasons that people hate door knocking, right? 1, fear of rejection. 2, fear of looking dumb. 3, lack of preparation or training, like you just said. And 4, a comfort addiction, right? So a lot of sales reps that come from other sales that aren't door-to-door, right? So mostly inbound sales reps that work for tech companies that have a ton of inbound leads, and those tech companies, they have huge brand recognition. They have people going to sign up for these sales calls on a daily basis, right? So they have plenty coming to them, right? They're easier layups. When you have to go out and get it cold, right? Cold calling is really hard, but door knocking is a whole nother animal, because not only are you interrupting their time on their phone or interrupting their day with a phone call that they can easily ignore, right? You're stepping onto their property. You're getting in front of them while they're at home, relaxing, right? So I believe simply that fear of not being comfortable and making other people uncomfortable drives a lot of people away from it.
It's funny. I think you always point this out with me, that when I'm training people, that I always tell people that, hey, look, it's really a conversation that I want you to have. You could have the greatest pitch. You could have the perfect words that you should repeat at every door. But if you're not having a conversation with a complete stranger and you're not getting to finding out the kind of person they are, how you could be of service to them, what you can offer to someone. If you don't look at it from that perspective, you're not going to ever get enough experience to be comfortable.
No, absolutely. Door knocking forces you to earn attention instead of being handed it, right? Versus like door knocking
Correct.
versus inbound, right? So I believe that door knocking really, the biggest point I'll make is probably going to be that door knocking reveals your lack thereof emotional control, right? If you have lackluster emotional control, door knocking is going to seem extremely hard for you, right? If negativity can get in the way of what you aim to do, right? And everything's negative in this life, right? But if negativity affects you in such a way that you're not able to perform, door knocking is going to be exceedingly hard for you in every aspect of the job.
Mm-hmm. It's a double-edged sword too, because as an owner of a company, you want them to get sales, close deals. That's what makes the wheels turn, right? But you also need to take the time, because not everybody is made for this, sales. I mean, I know people that will tell me, hey, Art, man, I'd love to be in sales, but, man, I don't know. I don't feel very comfortable. And, if I don't sell anything, I won't get paid.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a big fear factor. So the best way of combating that is getting them all the information that they need, giving them rebuttals, right? Because, how many times have you been told, man, you're the 20th person that's knocked on my door today. Oh, what do you say to that?
Yeah.
Right? And I always tell my salespeople, look, carry a black book with you. And every time you hear something you haven't heard, write it down.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you don't have a rebuttal for that, whatever the customer might tell you, come up to one of the owners, talk to us, because we might have that more experience that's going to help you overcome those rejections. Right.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like there's unlimited. I mean, it's not like there's unlimited rejections, right? Most objections are smoke screens, but most objections boil down to three things. They don't trust you, right? Because they don't know you. You just showed up on their doorstep, right? And the ability to earn that trust is what really sells on the doors, right? A money issue, like they're really struggling, really hurting, and no matter what you think you're able to do for them, they truly do not believe that they're going to be able to overcome this money issue in regards to your product, right? And the third thing is they don't have enough time, right?
They're on the way to the store.
Yeah, they're on the way to the store.
Pick up the kid
They're
at the school.
Their baby's sleeping. You're interrupting their nap. They haven't slept in 48 hours, right? They just got home off of a 97-hour shift, right? Or whatever the case is. But those are really the only three true objections, right? Money, time, and trust.
Right.
Now,
trust is huge, though.
Yeah, and it boils down to, I really think, whether you have scripted confidence or actual confidence.
Correct.
Right? Scripted confidence, right? Reading in the tonality that you were trained to do, right? You remember the script word for word, and somebody's told you how to say it exactly, right? What tonality to use. You've practiced it in front of the mirror, 100 times a day for the last 3 months. So now the tone sounds good, right? But your facial cues, your body, your body language, right? The tics that you have, the little things, right? They throw off that perceived confidence and makes it look phony, right? Scripted confidence. Now, cold, hard, real confidence is earned. It comes from results, right? Now, segueing in off of that, real confidence, I truly believe, is the only thing that can get rid of commission breath.
Yeah, I mean, confidence is, too bad we couldn't buy it, right? Is there a monthly subscription we could hire, get on to? Let's do this.
Yeah.
But confidence, it comes with experience, and experience comes with time.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, in sales, I always tell people, new sales guys, I go, hey, what do you need to make a month to cover your bills? Right. Put 10% into savings, and then save the rest, so you can get like a 6-month cushion. Right. Because I wish I could tell you that every month is just a grand slam for me.
Yeah.
Right. I would say probably 70% from an experienced salesperson of the time you're going to be making good money. There's going to be a couple months where you're looking for repairs.
Yeah.
Right. So the experience factor comes in, but again, with time and stuff, and just feeling more comfortable, it's a boost in confidence, right?
Yeah.
The greatest time to make a sale is right after you just sold one.
No, absolutely.
Right? Because your adrenaline's kicking, you're rocking, you're rolling, you're not shy, because you know that, hey, wow, looking at this roof, this might be a nice commission for me.
In the flow state.
right? You're literally moving and everything's going just perfect. And when you do that, when that's going down and you actually feel like, hey, I'm in the groove, right? Mm-hmm. It's not really because you're that much better. Yep. You're building your confidence level up. Once you've got your confidence going, everything starts to rock and roll. For me, if I'm not selling 5 to 7 roofs a month, I'm not existing. I'm not breathing. I'm not getting out of bed. I'm sicker than a dog. We've all been there.
Yeah.
But when you're confident and you're 5 to 7, man, your expectations are a lot higher. And with higher expectations, the more money you're going to make naturally. Even if you don't hit your quota that you want to hit. Well, I wanted 10 this month, but I only got 9, Ian. Sorry, yeah. Right? But guess what? I still made a good living. Right, I'm helping. I'm not digging trenches. You and I have done that.
Yeah,
cutting trees down. Those are hard jobs, physical, manual jobs that most people wouldn't even consider doing.
Yeah.
So we have the opportunity with training our people to get them to the point where, hey, look, we know how important it is to make money. Mm-hmm. We're in the same boat, buddy. But if you're willing to put your time in to learning the process, learning what to say, learning how to have a reply to a rebuttal from a customer.
Yeah.
The more that you can provide information for them. I love it when people say, hey, you know what? Art was a nice guy, but the reason why we chose him is because we felt like we're hiring someone that knew what he was talking about. Yeah. He just wasn't blowing a hot air. Yeah. He actually was telling us the process. He taught me things that I didn't know that the other 20 roofers never even brought up.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I only had a year, right,
yeah.
to after filing the claim to get it completed. I didn't know that, And how many times have we run into people that, that say, hey, you know what, if someone had told me that, my life would be a lot better right now.
No, absolutely. Now, I have a question. Let's pretend. Let's get into the mindset of the homeowner, right? How do you think homeowners differentiate or are able to spot the difference between hustle and desperation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, again, is knowing the process, offering the homeowner what your services entail. Mm-hmm. What's that include? What exactly are you going to accomplish for them? Mm-hmm. That's why we always ask, hey, how can we be of service to you guys? Yeah. What can we do to help you? Because everybody else just wants to sell, right? Yeah. Sign right here. How many of those roofers do we say, sign right here and you're obligated to me? We don't do that. Yeah. Why would we do that, right? So when I tell people, hey, look, let me help you through the process. Once I find out, because we always ask, hey, how can we be of service to you? What can we do to help you today? And then when we find out where they're at, there's a lot of people who've been denied. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, my insurance said they've denied me 3 times. I've had 3 different roofers come out and no one can help me. Oh, really? Okay, well, the next process would be this. Yeah. This is what we need to do. This is what we can do for you so that we can get you over the fence, right? Yeah. Let's get you to the other side where you have a brand new fence, you're back to normal. Yeah. And the insurance company has done you right. Because right now, if you've been denied twice after a hailstorm, our reports say it was 1 3/4 inch hail. All your metal's been damaged. You got shingles missing. You've been affected by the hail.
No, absolutely.
Right? But if you don't explain that to people, well, you're just another Joe, another Chuck with a truck.
I see it all too often when I end up in a neighborhood where there's other people knocking, and whether you agree with it or not, I'm going to stay in that neighborhood, right? I'm going to stay in that neighborhood. I'll knock behind you. I don't give a shit, mm-hmm. right? But I'll knock behind them because what I end up finding out is they're just out there offering a free inspection. Hey, Mr. Homeowner, you had hail last night. I don't know if you heard it. It looks like you have damage from the street. We're offering in the neighborhood free roof inspections, right? And boom, they drop it at that. As soon as they, especially unexperienced sales reps, as soon as they drop that first objection, oh no, I'm good. We actually have a roofer. I have a cousin's aunt's brother, sister's frog who does roofing, and we're just going to have him look at it. He'll be here. He's coming from California in 2 weeks, right? As soon as they drop that first objection, they're gone. They don't know how to overcome it. They don't have that confidence that, how do you say that? They don't have the confidence, right? They don't have the confidence. They don't have the ability. They don't have the skill set. And they're not there to truly help. They're not there to truly serve. So they end up walking away from the door. And I come behind. Hey, I know you just knocked on your door. I don't want to give you a free roof inspection today. I just wanted to leave you with the steps, right?
Correct.
The steps to go ahead and file a claim whenever you're ready. Mm-hmm. Here's my name and phone number whenever you're ready to, give me a call if you have any questions on the process. And let me ask you a question. Were you here last night when it was hailing, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it sounded like it was really coming down, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. And now we're leading into a conversation that's going to end up with me on top of their roof because I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to serve them. And there's a large difference in how service conversations and sales conversations go.
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, you're as a salesperson, you're knocking on the door, and I'm going to say a million times, when you approach the door, like you're here to be of service, as opposed to just trying to grab another signature, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just another check. I think and people are very intelligent. They know when they're kind of being put together. Yeah. Right. Or when someone's just kind of talking out of the wrong pipe. Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if I always have people tell me, "Hey, Art, man, what'd you do before this?" I always tell people, I was a car salesman. Yeah. That's why I did that for 14 years. And, let me tell you something was rough, trying to convince someone to buy a $75,000 truck in 2 minutes. Yeah. Because that's all they're giving you is 2 minutes. Right. I think door knocking, trying to sell a roof, I think they give you about 4 or 5 minutes. It's probably twice as much time. Yeah. So you still,
if they're nice.
I was blessed. I met some great salesmen. Yeah. Selling cars. And these were the veterans, right? These are the guys that always did 15 cars a month, always made good money. And I always thought, well, what's so different about them? I'm making no money. Yeah. I'm selling just about many same cars, but I'm not making the money I should be. So, through trial and error and being trained by some who ended up being lifelong friends, 14 years doing anything is a long time. That's a huge investment. But when you have someone who's a salesperson, experience and stuff, they would say things that, man, you know what, Ian, I just said the same exact thing to that customer. And you came in here and you said the exact same thing, but you were more believable. Does that make me better or worse? I would always scratch my head and think, what the heck? When I really come to realize it was just a conversation, it was of service, and when you came in, they thought you were just the nicest guy in the world. Maybe because you were smiling more. Maybe I was being desperate, right? Yeah. We talked about this in our last episode. Is your approach, how you're actually talking and smiling and greeting people, introducing yourself. And telling them the services you could provide for someone. Now they're feeling like they're being made knowledgeable as to the process. Yeah. And for that reason, we get on a lot of roofs because of that. Yeah. And they'll tell us straight up, man, I just had 3 roofers. I said, okay, well, you found a real good roofer now. Let's go ahead and knock this out. Yeah. With confidence. Yeah. Right? Most people wouldn't do that. Oh man, you already had 3 people look at you? You already got inspected? Okay, well, I'm out. Bye. Yeah. Lost opportunity.
No, absolutely. And I think, honestly, for the reps that just sit there and badger, right, and they have what I like to call what's commonly known as commission breath, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll break that down for you real quick for everybody. Commission breath is the desperation that leaks out of your mouth as you are desperately trying to cling on to a sale, all right, or to a contract signing, whatever. Now, if you are doing any one of these on a sales call, I don't care what you sell, if you're doing any one of these, if you're immediately going to discounts, immediately throwing free stuff out there, if you're immediately over-explaining, throwing out BBB, Better Business Bureau ratings, and if you're just sitting there articulating rehearsed facts about your companies and the benefits that you guys offer, or the biggest telltale sign is if they hit you with an objection and automatically your energy shifts on the inside. You can feel it when people get small, when you start desperately trying to get the sale, desperately trying to convince them that your company's the best and you're providing something that nobody else is doing, which I hate that line. I hate that line when I hear sales reps and they're like, oh, but what we're doing is completely different. It's the same thing. You're just going to word it different, right? But that commission breath, really the only solution I've ever found with it to get away from it is you have to start seeing results, right? It's kind of hard not to be desperate for the sale when you're making a switch from a W-2 to a 1099 position. You're not going to make any money unless you sell something, right? So when you have 3 kids at home and a wife who are expecting, groceries next week and, daycare needs to be paid for and all these other things, right? It's really, really hard to get away from sounding desperate on the doors, right? And really the only way to overcome it at the beginning is you're going to sound desperate. No matter how much you train, you're gonna switch that mode on where you're like, oh, I could save this if I just tell them we're A+ BBB is accredited, So what do you think when you're training the sales reps, right? Because you handle all this the training for our sales reps. When you're training them, how do you get them over the hump of sounding desperate for the sale and that commission breath?
Man, really, it's really about getting enough door knocking down, right? If you're telling me, if I call one of my salespeople and I say, hey, how many doors did you knock today? And they say, well, to be honest with you, I've only done maybe 30 minutes. And I saw a bunch of no soliciting. I saw this and I saw that. I said, okay, so what are you going to do for the rest of the day? Well, I think I'm going to go home. I'm just going to chill with the family and stuff like that. I said, okay, that's fair enough. This is your prerogative. This is what you do. I said, do you know what the difference between you and a seasoned veteran? And they always ask me, what? I said, well, they know where their bills need to be paid. They know how much money they need. And the seasoned veterans, they know the effort it takes to get to where they need to be. Okay? I know how much money I want to make to take care of my responsibilities, my financial responsibilities. And it takes me at least 2 to 3 hours daily of door knocking. And I once, when I was selling cars, I actually went to a Grant Cardone seminar. And I remember the
10X one?
Yeah, the 10X. So the dealership said, hey, look, we'll go ahead and pay for everybody to go up to 20 people, and we're just going to, take $100 off. And it was like a $900 fee. Yeah. Right? So I walked in there. Everybody thought, oh, why would you do that? You're such a good salesman. You don't need that. And I was like, man, if I learned something, that'd be great. I was always at 10 to 12 car sales. I go to Grant Cardone, and the one thing I thought that was very different, and it really is just like in any sales, is amount of effort. Yeah. Right? So he made everybody say, hey, how many people, raise your hand if you sold 8 cars this month. And everybody raised their hand. I mean, literally everybody. How about 10? 20% fell. And then how about 12? And then, another 20% fell. And then he asked, well, who sold more than 30 cars this month? And only 2 people did. Raise their hand. And he called it out. He goes, oh, you guys are in fleet, huh? Right? And if you're ever in car sales, that's just the reality of what that is. Yeah. So, but it hit me like a pile of bricks. I said, oh, I get it. So then he comes up with, well, the math is this. If you want to sell 20 cars a month, you've got to talk to 8 different people a day. Yeah. Those 8 people, right? Maybe 3 of them, you'll get their attention and they'll want to buy from you. Of those 3, if you're lucky, you might get 2 sales. Yeah. Right? So instantly I got a book and I said to myself, this is the effort it's going to take for me to be always at 15 cars. And basically that was the difference. That changed my life.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you brought that into our company, right? Right. So when we were sitting down, we're setting up the Indeed ad or the ZipRecruiter ad, and we're looking to start recruiting some more people, right? We put together, we take our averages for roof commissions, how much we're averaging on profit, how much we're averaging on roof size, dollar amount per roof. And we do the math and pencil out, okay, realistically, if you're hitting the average that the company's doing, right, per sales rep, if you're hitting the average, you should be making X amount of dollars. I think our average when we came out to it Q4 last year, just a couple of weeks ago, it came out to if you can sell 4 a month, 3.8, but 4 a month, you should be going home with $180 in your pocket. $180,000 in your pocket, right?
At the end of the year.
That would suck to go home with $180.
But $180,000, Ian, that's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, that's significant for a lot of people.
I mean, I know people who go to college and have $100,000 to $200,000 debt, and they're not making that money.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have we interviewed people like that?
I mean, how many times have we ran into, pest control kids and things like that, and they're, I don't always 100% believe them, right? But how many kids, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, even other roofing sales professionals are telling us they're making $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in season and then taking the rest of the year off, right? I don't know exactly how much I believe them because I know what we're making at the top of our food chain in our company, right? But there is a weird factor that these kids are making a tremendous amount of money with no degrees most of the time, no degrees. Most of them are high school kids. I'm a high school dropout, right? But most of them are making a decent amount of money. Well, the ones that put in the effort, right? The ones that put in the effort, the ones that work hard, the ones that actually learn their product, they learn their craft, and they take feedback well, coachable ones. Right. Those kids are working 6 months a year, and they're making $300,000 to $700,000 a year.
But it really comes down to effort, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why is this guy right here? And we've hired plenty of people where we thought, man, this guy's going to be a grand slam. This guy's going to do it. He's going to make all kinds of money. Let's put all our resources and all our effort into him.
Yep.
Right? How many times have we done that? Several times. So at the end of the day, though, what are their processes? What is the commitment? Because commitment is for everything, right? I mean, I don't care what you do. If you're a doctor or you're a guy that mows lawns for a living, what kind of commitment? Are you responsible? Yeah. Are you going to be the guy that's actually going to show up when you're supposed to show up, put in the effort you need to put in to get the results you want? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is what we're telling people now. Everybody wants to jump on board and try to make $200,000 a year, but are you willing to do the things that people who make that kind of money? Because if everybody can make $200,000 a year selling roofs, there's not a person would say no to it.
Yeah.
Right? But the first thing we always hear is, man, I don't know, man. There's no guarantee money, so I don't know if I'm going to do it. And then we tell everybody, it takes you a good 4 weeks to really start seeing money.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the leads. How do you get the leads? Knock on the doors.
Yeah.
Right? How many doors are you going to knock to get the leads you want?
Yeah.
Right? So if you want, and I tell everybody, if you get 20 leads a week, you'll be lucky to get 8 sales out of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because for whatever reason, things don't go right. Let's just say but I think we've come to an agreement with doing our math for our business is if they just do 3.8, you said?
Yeah, 3.8.
Right? 3.8, they're going to make 10 to 15 grand a month. And I don't know about you, but I don't know too many places that you can do that without an education.
Yeah, and that's
with a college degree.
If they just sell out at our averages, right? So for our averages, just so we're putting this out here, for our averages, we took out the lowest one and the highest one, the outliers, right?
Correct.
And we calculated our averages, right? And when we did that, we learned you only have to sell 3.8 a month, 4, right? Essentially, 4 roofs a month to be able to go and make $10,000 to $15,000 a month. There is no other industry outside of door knocking that I can think of that you can go make over $120,000 with a high school education or less. I can't think of a single one. Maybe somebody can educate me in the comments on some obscure, oil field position or, but the only career I can think of where you can make that kind of money without an education is gruesome labor. Right. And somebody's going to say, the diving welders and, things like that. I think that still requires a tremendous amount of education to be able to weld.
I know brain surgeons make a lot of money. Brain surgeons make about $500,000 a year.
Yeah,
do you know how much school they have to put in?
Yeah. Do you know how much debt they go into to do so?
Absolutely.
And it's and even after that, it's not guaranteed that you go. I think there's only a couple of thousand. I think we were looking at the statistics. My wife is about to go to college. So we were looking it up, and there's only, I think we were looking at nurse anesthetists, so I won't speak to brain surgeons, but there's only like 5,600 and something odd employed nurse anesthetists. Mm-hmm. That's far below what I thought it was. I thought there was a significant amount, like 5,000 in the entire country, 5,600 in the entire country that are employed. Well, that's to the college resource website. That's what they said. I don't know exactly where they're pulling that data, but that job isn't as in demand as the services that most companies provide that are knocking on the door, right? Especially roofs. Roofs is a service that this industry will never go out of business, will never be replaced. Door-to-door sales reps can never be replaced. I see an attempt at it now through marketing companies and other people trying to convince that door knocking is dead.
But that's a service they're selling.
Yeah, and you're right, there is a service behind them that they are selling that would incentivize them to convince everybody that door knocking is dead, right? But if door knocking was truly dead, then why are we still selling roofs? Right? Why is it still working for most people? Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of roofers out here too now.
Yeah, there's a lot.
In this area, there's like 2,600 different companies.
Yeah,
just doing roofs.
Yeah,
that's all they do.
You Google roofers in Austin, Texas, and I'm almost positive there's 360 of them that are actually on Google My Business. So there's enough money to go around. There's enough roofs to go around. There's enough clientele to go around. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another problem is a lot of people, especially sales, get stuck in this mindset that there's a scarcity of money to be made or there's a scarcity in a product to be sold.
I haven't seen that.
I don't believe that at all. Right? You haven't seen any of those videos where people, it's mostly, my age kids or younger that are saying that door knocking, they tried door knocking and it sucks because nobody wants a product and it's out and it doesn't work anymore and it was the worst time they ever had and all these other things. There's no money in it, and it's just because they didn't make money, obviously. But
well, I think we've talked about this in the past. We actually worked for a roofer one time that during the training portion, we did a week training for all the new salespeople. The owner of the company said to basically told everybody, hey, look, man, this is all you need to make this kind of money. So he equated per roof with the average profit, right? And how much money you'd make at the end of it. He would even say, hey, look, you can get the law of averages on anything. When I was a kid, you had to go into an encyclopedia. Mm-hmm. Well, what the heck did I tell you? Just what they wrote. Yeah. What was in that book? That was it. You can literally Google the law of averages of a brand new hamburger joint, right? Or a bar selling roofs, right? Yeah. You can get the law of averages, everything. And so we would tell the people, hey, look, the average person makes about 12 to 15 grand. Yeah. That was just like in the average that Google threw out. And then we'd always say, hey, look, that's just for the average person. I don't know about you, Ian, but I've never considered myself average in anything. No, never. Especially when it came to sales. Yeah. I always wanted to be. I was so freaking competitive. I don't know if it was because I was so darn poor growing up. I didn't get the opportunities that like my friends that I knew I had the same kind of talent, but because their parents had more money, they were able to get better opportunities in life. Yeah. Right? I didn't get that. I always had a hustle. And I find a lot of roofers that I meet, a lot of people are great people. I love, our thing is we love to meet people, right?
Yeah.
So when we meet these guys and they say, and we easily come across and say, oh man, that guy's a hustler. He's probably going to be successful.
Yeah.
So by going through Google and finding out what the law of averages is, you can find out right now what kind of effort you're going to put in on almost anything in this world.
No, absolutely. Now, let me ask you, what would you say an actionable takeaway is from this conversation so far, right? What can a sales rep that's listening to this right now, maybe he's a brand new sales rep, maybe he's a sales rep that's in a slump, maybe it's an experienced sales rep that just wants to increase what they're doing. Maybe they've fallen into some lazy ways, lazy mindset. Maybe they've fallen from grace, right? What would you say that they could take away right now, go do, and make an actionable plan to increase their efforts in door knocking, besides just go knock more doors, right? Because to be honest, that's going to be my number one point is you just have to knock more doors, right? What would you say?
I think the most important thing for anyone to getting out there and starting with the process of door knocking is to create a process of procedures for yourself that you want to follow on the daily. And that could be tweaked, right? Hey, that didn't really work that well. I could tweak it this way. But if you create a plan, everybody needs a plan.
Yeah.
If you and I want to go buy a speedboat tomorrow, we need to have a plan because those suckers are expensive, right? That just doesn't happen for anyone. So we have to come up with a plan. When you go to door knock, have an idea of what you want to offer in regards to your services to a prospective homeowner who needs help, right? And again, be of service. Make sure that they realize that, hey, they're actually talking to a professional. He's actually explaining things to me. And you know what? I kind of like him, because usually you hardly get the husband and wife, right? It's always one.
Yeah.
So that person would be the man or the woman of the house. They have to talk to each other and say, hey, I met a roofer today. He actually seemed pretty cool because he was giving us information that I had never heard of. Do you know this, honey? And then the husband's going to be like, oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. So now, okay, cool. So do you feel comfortable? It's a mutual respect thing between the man and wife, right? Did you feel comfortable with Ian? Did you feel like he could actually help us? Because we've had 50 people bang on the doors, and I'm getting tired of that. And we need to get this roof replaced. Yeah. Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel like they could do a good job? I'd like to meet them. Right? Did you leave all the information? Did you give them your website? Did you show them the good reviews? Did you do everything to give them all the information they needed to make an informed decision?
Yeah. And, to be honest, here's what I do, right? And I'll lay out my game plan and sauce for everybody here. And maybe it's not what everybody else does, but it's what works for me, right? I work 12 hours a day, even 6-7 days a week. Most of the time, 7 days a week. But, sometimes the wife needs a date night and things like that, right? And we need to make sure we take care of our families. But I work 12 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, most of the time. I spend the first 4 hours of my day as a roofing company owner, right? I spend the first 4 hours of my day focusing on follow-up, focusing on anything that has to do with the business, right? So ops, making sure CRM is running smoothly, making sure systems are going smoothly, making sure there's no hiccups in our process. And if there are, this is the time that I choose to try and identify them, right? How can we improve this process for both us and the homeowner, right? The second 4-hour section of my day is going to be primarily for creating content, right? So this is still what I consider outreach, right? But in today's market, you do have to compete in the digital landscape in digital landscape. And I recommend anybody who's door knocking, put your face out there more, get into the digital landscape, get into social media, and build a brand for yourself, right? Because your personality sells far more than the product. To be honest, let's say the top 20% of companies, they're all offering the same shingles. They're all pretty much the same price. They're all installing the same. A lot of companies share crews, and a lot of companies don't have dedicated in-house crews, right? Where a lot of them are sharing the same crews, right? But where they differentiate is going to be the process and the ease for the homeowner, right? Their schedule and timelines, right? But regardless, sorry, I kind of veered off from that for a second. The most important thing, though, is going to be the person that sells it to you and how they coordinate with you, how they plan with you, how they communicate with you, right? And you building a personal brand is probably going to be the biggest lead generator for you because you will be known in the industry, right? So social media is something that I am starting to, especially coming into this year where we plan that we're going to focus a lot more on social media and our online presence. I'm going to build a brand and I'm going to use those 4 hours to do it, right? And I'm focusing on content creation. I create at least one video a day. We started the podcast for this very reason. So I spend those 4 hours like that. The next 4-hour segment, nothing but outreach from 3:30 till 7:30. I am either knocking on doors or calling homeowners. Most of the time, it depends on the weather, but most of the time, I am knocking on doors in the field, right? And I do not let anything interrupt this time. Phone goes off, phone goes on silent. Wife knows these hours are golden. If you have to interrupt me during the other 8 hours that I'm working. But these 4 hours, right, are golden to me. Why? Because I'm choosing to only knock and reach out 4 hours a day. So I need to be the most productive that I can within that time period. But also, this is when everybody's home, right? This is when my outreach is going to be the most efficient, right? I'm going to get the most amount of answers, the most amount of conversations during this 4-hour block. And I think anybody who's worked in a field where they had to door knock before can say there's a testament between golden hours, 3:30, 4 o'clock to 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Saturdays.
And Saturdays, right? Saturdays, different ball game. I'm out in the field for 8 hours. I'm doing ops for 3 or 4 hours, and then I'm going straight into the field, right? Now, I think the most actionable takeaway that somebody could take from this is I challenge you for the next 30 days, do not take a day off, work 12 hours a day. I don't care how you break up your day. Try and make sure that 4-hour golden period is golden, right? Because you don't want to be doing anything towards that. Don't reverse my day and think that you're going to have good results, because you definitely won't, because, nobody's home during that time and a lot of people aren't home. But 30 days straight, knock as much as humanly possible for 30 days straight. I promise you, by the end of that 30 days, your pipeline will be bigger and more robust than you've ever seen it before.
No, absolutely. But at the end of the day, how many people we've hired who's actually done that?
we issue that same challenge to every one of our sales reps. How many we see follow through with it? Very little. The ones who do follow through with it, we see it every time. They end up being our top 10% of guys, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not based off of skills. It's not based off of, we have one of our guys that's in the top 10%. He's not a great talker, right? But
this is the same guy that told us he was absolutely petrified of talking to strangers.
Yeah. And he's not great at it, if we're being honest, right? But he knocks so many doors because, I don't think the kid even takes a break, right? It's been a while since I've been out in the field with him specifically, but I don't think the kid takes breaks.
But he's smart, and I'll tell you why he's so smart. He'll knock the dog out of the doors, and he'll call me and say, look, I know I've hit at least 200 to 300 doors today. I said, well, do the easy math. Use the law of averages. Of those, you're probably going to get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. You have 10 leads at the end of the week. Of those 10 leads, you're going to, even if you only sold 50%, that's 5 for 1 week's effort, right? Now, when you get into the next level, after you've created the lead, and now you've filed claims and all that good stuff, right? Things happen. They don't all close, unfortunately, but the ones that do, right, then we get complacent, right? Oh, well, I've got 4 roofs I'm going to do. Well, you and I could look at the CRM and say, hey, look, this guy's doing great, but, he has nothing in his pipeline.
Yeah.
So he might make 10, 15 grand this week, but if he doesn't start doing leads for the next same week, he's not going to be able to build his pipeline. And when I say build your pipeline, what I'm going to make this month, I want to make sure that the next month and the next month after that is going to be filled.
Have you read the book? I believe the author's name is James Blunt, and I might be butchering that name, right? James Blunt. It's called Fanatical Prospecting. Right? It's
I haven't read that book yet.
It's a great book. I recommend it to literally all of the guys. I need you to read it as well. It's a great book. 100%. All it talks about is such a, have you ever read something and it's like the key finally fits in the deadbolt, right? The key is finally able to turn. That was one of those books for me where I would work really, really hard for 2 weeks, right? And I had this, for whatever reason, I had this idea that if I work really, really hard for 2 weeks and I burn myself out, that I can take the next 2 weeks off and I can keep doing that and I'm going to be successful. And, it sure seems like that at first, right? Because you make a bunch of money in 2 weeks and then you're chilling and you don't feel like you're working that hard and you feel like you're smart and you're on top of the world, but cash flow issues happen, right? What happens in that next set of 2 weeks that you're supposed to be working, things just don't work out for you, right? Now you have a 4-week period where you have nothing put into the pipeline, right? But this book, after I read it, I decided that I am going to talk about roofing wherever I go to whoever will listen to me talk, right? A key tenet in the book, the key point that he makes is the difference between the top 1% and the bottom 1% isn't as big as people think. It's the fact that the top 1% is selling even when they're not working, right? They're striking up a conversation at the bar. That conversation is going to lead to what I sell.
Dropping a card everywhere.
Yeah, dropping
right?
a card, yeah. And the top 1%, they do not stop prospecting even when they're off work, right? They don't turn it off, right? Every conversation is a potential customer to them. Every new conversation, every person I meet, every person I bump into at HEB, right, is a potential, the cashier at HEB, right? And talking to them, I stopped going through the self-checkout to have conversations with more people, right? And that in itself is probably going to make more people more money if you could just do that one simple thing. Stop turning it off. Stop turning it off when you clock out, right? Every time you have a conversation with somebody that's a potential customer, right? Obviously there's some little qualifications things they need to meet to be a roofing customer, but there's the potential there, right? And that's what he talks about in this book. And I think it is such a simple idea, right? That you just don't turn it off and you're always selling to everybody. But for me, it was life-changing, right? And I immediately, I read another book by Alex Hormozy following that book, and he talked about how he breaks his day down, right? And then I watched a couple of videos of his, and he broke his day down exactly how I described my day, right? 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. So 4-hour blocks for each important task that needs to be done, and assigned one goal for each one of those blocks that if you achieve that at the end of the day, your day will have still been successful, right?
There's a method to his madness.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And, that method might not work out for everybody, right? If you're not a roofing if you're not the company owner, right, you probably don't need to spend the first 4 hours of your day focusing on the CRM, right? Or focusing on ops, right? You probably have a different structure to your day, and maybe you only need 2 time blocks, right? One for social media and posting and outreach, and then the next one for door knocking. Maybe you need to door knock 6 hours instead of 4 hours like I do, right? And that schedule might change depending on what industry you're in, right? If you're in solar and you go on if you're on a blitz team, right, and you run the blitz model, your day's going to look dramatically different. You probably need to be knocking all day, especially if you're going to be away from your family,
So you telling me we should embrace door knocking? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Everybody that is a home service professional should absolutely embrace door knocking, especially at the beginning of their company. Again, like we said in the last episode, there is a major difference in how a beginner company, a startup, runs and a well-established 30-year roofing company that's making $10 million or gutter company that's making $10 million, right?
Right.
There's a major difference in how those two companies operate. There's a major difference in how those companies are efficiently generating leads.
Right.
Large difference.
Well, it's great to have expectations of what you want to accomplish in life.
Yeah.
But most of us will not exceed those expectations if we don't create a plan.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan in place. So, like when I was, I've been a byproduct of some fantastic mentorships, right? So in my way, and I know we've talked about this plenty of times, that we want to help people, not only our customers, but we want to help people learn how to make money, right? And so that's the idea. I mean, a lot of people are fearful about coming in, being 1099, and, not potentially having a check at the end of the week because, no one's jumping ship from a job to go to another job where they're not going to get paid.
Yeah.
Right? And you and I both know that we have to get these guys to sign a contract as quick as possible so we can get them some money.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. If you're with a company that's not doing that, helping you fulfill, or at least helping you create your processes, create your opportunities so that you can make a certain amount of money. If you are working with a company like that that's not helping you do that, then you're really doing a disservice to yourself.
No, absolutely.
Right. So I always tell people, are you willing to do what needs to be done to make the money? Straight up. Because when you work hourly, man, how easy is it to be complacent?
Yeah.
I just got to be there on time. So heck, sometimes we don't even get there on time.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to leave early. Right. That's an hourly person. Right.
Yeah.
It's a known fact. Sales generate a dog load of money for a lot of people in this world, right? And if you're a good salesperson, you can sell absolutely anything: a paperclip, a pen, a brand new car, a skyscraper. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can sell, and you can make a dog load of money. But you have to put that effort in. If you think, well, as an example, when I was a car salesman, it was hilarious. For 2 years, two and a half years, I was making like $70,000 a year, and I thought, man, God, how are these guys beating me every single freaking time? Because I'm competitive, right? Any good salesperson typically is a competitive person.
Yeah.
I like to be on top of 1%. I never really considered the money, but they at the car dealership, they would have all the people's names on the board, and they would say how many cars you sold, and they would always ask you, how many you expect to sell this month? And I would go, man, I'm going to sell 15. Everybody looked at me like, 15, you're crazy, right? But I knew that if I told them 15 and I hit 12 or 13, that I was good.
Yeah.
Right. So one day I had a fellow salesperson. She was a real sweet person. She goes, man, I saw you sold 18 cars this month. I said, yeah, I sold 18 cars. Man, what'd you do? Would you make like 12, 15 grand? I was all like, no, I think I made $4,000. Are you working your pay plan? Right. And the same thing with us.
Yeah.
If you work the pay plan and you listen to what we're telling you, how many leads you need for the week, so that can be converted at the end of the month to a certain amount of sales, right? You're working the pay plan, right? But if you don't, you're not going to do it. Now, I had a friend of mine who ended up being one of my best friends. He was a sheriff, and all of a sudden he wanted to be a salesperson. This kid was so freaking smart that he walked up to me and he said, hey, man, everybody's telling me you're the car salesperson. I want to learn how you do it. I said, well, I could show you, I could run you through a sale. You go, no, I don't want you to do that. I want to work with you for a whole month. I don't care. I don't need any money. He was blessed because he had a retirement and, he could afford this. Not everybody can.
Yeah.
So he says, hey, if you could show me what you do and how you do it, I want to emulate that and I want to make the same kind of money you're making.
Yeah.
And he did, to his word. He literally hung out with me for a whole freaking month. He was literally my shadow. He wanted to learn. I mean, they always say, right? If you want to do something in life, ask someone, but ask someone who's actually very successful in doing that.
Yeah.
This is exactly what he did. When we hire people for our company, we want to make times 10 of Ian and Art.
Yeah.
We want people who know that they want to make 4 sales a month, bare minimum.
Yeah.
Or, hey, how about, man, there's a serious situation with your family and I'm going to need an extra 10 grand. Well, okay, how can we help you get there?
Yeah.
Right? And if that means we have to, follow right behind him to make sure he does what he needs to do, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Right? Where the disconnect happens is the amount of effort someone wants to put in.
Yeah.
Right. But getting back to my friend, he literally to this day is one of the top sales guys in that car dealership. Everybody knows his name. He has.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I literally send people who call me and want to know, hey, you don't sell cars no more? Can you help me find somebody? I always send them to him because I know he's going to take care of the customer.
Yeah.
He's service first. And that's how it goes. But it's with anything. I use that as an example because what I find, like I said, there's a disconnect. People want a lot in life, right? Oh, man, I want to pay all my bills. I want to be rich. Are you willing to put in their time? If we can get those people to do that and go times 10, 20 more than what you and I can do, we're going to, not only are we going to make good money, but we're going to help people be successful in life.
Yeah.
So yes, we are in the market of hiring more people, getting them on board and teaching them and mentoring them and helping them become successful.
Exactly.
If they are successful, guess what? Art and Ian are going to be successful as well.
Yeah. And I think you could be rich in a lot of different ways, right? And I wouldn't say off topic, but this is definitely going more into philanthropy, or I don't know if the word would be philanthropy, but into my thought process. You can be rich in several different ways, right? You can be rich in family. You could be rich in spirit. You can be rich in money, right? Obviously, I think there's a hierarchy to which one you should think is more important, right? Rich in spirit first, rich in family second, rich in money first.
Having a faith, right?
Exactly, right? But really, it wasn't until, when I really started making the money that we make now, and when I really started making money, is when I stopped doing roof math, right? So I'll explain that. You know how, and maybe somebody who's listening can relate to this. I know I've done it before. I'm almost positive everybody does it. If I wanted something when I was in the Army, right, or not in the Army, before the Army, when I was working construction drywall, right? Every time I wanted something, say I wanted a new pair of shoes, they were, let's say, $200, and I was making $20 an hour. I would do the math, right? How many hours do I have to work overtime to make that money to go ahead and buy those shoes, buy the things that I want, right? I did the same thing with roofing and commissions when I first got into it. About how many roofs do I need to sell to be able to pay all my bills?
Creating your plan.
Right, creating my plan. How many roofs do I need to be able to sell to survive? How many roofs do I need to sell to be prosperous, right? I call it, everybody calls it, my blood goal and my high goal, right? My blood goal is no matter what, I'm going to make this is going to happen. I will fight tooth and nail till the end of the month until I at least have this, right? There is no letting the foot off the gas until I have this, right? Then my high goal, this is where I can truly be prosperous. This is where the worry about bills goes away. This is where the worry about, going on that vacation next month goes away, right? The worries of my wife asking me for something, right. At the store, and that's where that goes away, right? But I really, truly started making more money when I stopped doing that math, right? It's good at first, to survive, right? You need to know how the math breaks down, right? But truly, when I just started worrying about the amount of roofs I was doing versus the amount of money I was going to make off of the roofs, right? I was able to release myself from that commission breath, because the end result is I know if I sell 10 roofs, I'm going to make good money this month, right?
Correct.
I know I'll survive off of 10 roofs, right? So I don't need to worry about the end result. And what that allowed me to do is I wasn't trying to nickel, dime, and sell desperately, right, to make this roof count, because what if I set my goal for 10, what if I don't get there? This is only my 7th roof. It's the end of the month. I need to make this one count, right? I need to, I need to make sure they upgrade to ridge vent. I need to make sure they upgrade to this. I need to make sure, right? So I released that, and I stopped counting how much money I was going to make. I stopped calculating it. I let the money hit my bank account. I started making significantly more money, probably 30 to 40% more than I was previously making, by releasing that, right? Releasing that stress. And I was able to have cool, confident conversations on the door, because I knew, don't get me wrong, I'm always worried about money. I always want more money, right? But I was able to release the commission breath. I was able to release the stress, and I was able to easily sell 30 to 40% more roofs, because I wasn't trying to overdo every sale. Right? I let them select what they wanted and what they truly needed. And come to find out, people are smart enough, many people are smart enough to know what's a good investment and what's not a good investment, as long as you lay out the facts clearly. Right? And I think that helped me make more money than any other thing I've ever done. Obviously work hard, go destroy the doors, go, violence of action, right? But that is probably the single-handedly biggest thing that changed my life and changed my family's life, and the amount of money that we were able to bring in every month is by releasing that.
Right.
And you know where I got that from? I don't remember his name, and I'm going to get hell for it. I don't remember his name, but it was a guy. I don't know if he was doing a TED Talk. I watched this video. He's a black man. He's grayed out. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I was watching a video that he was doing, that he was recording, and he was speaking to an audience, and that's exactly what he was explaining. He was explaining that he no longer calculates the commissions he's going to make off of sales. He no longer, reads in between the line. He no longer reads those sheets. He lets the deposits hit and continues to go about his day, right? He doesn't open up his phone to calculate how much money did I just make off of this roof if it goes through, right? And that's a big thing it walked me away from too, is counting the chickens before they hatch.
Correct.
Right? And I think that's a big reason a lot of people fail in door-to-door sales, is they count those chickens before they hatch, right? They count those eggs before they hatch. And they get 10 leads in the pipeline, and they're like, oh, dude, I've doubled what I'm supposed to do this month.
Yeah, they make 15 grand that month. The next month they make 0.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the people that go put 10 leads into the pipeline, and they start taking their foot off the gas because they're like, I got 10. As long as 7 of them close, I'm good. And I know there's solid 7 in there, right? And then for whatever reason, one by one, they fall off.
But why is that?
They fall off.
Why do they fall off?
I'd say, sometimes it's a mixture of luck, but I'd say the biggest reason most leads fall off is poor follow-up, poor communication,
Correct.
right?
Right, or they just forget about them.
Yeah, they forget communication and consistent follow-up will out-earn you more than a great pitch at the door.
Well, because it's perception. The homeowner thinks, wow, you know what? This guy's called me 12 times this week.
Yeah.
Obviously he wants my business. So let's give him the opportunity, as opposed to, you know what? I haven't heard from that guy in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've already had 15 people knock on my door. I think 3 of them I could consider.
Yeah.
Right?
No, and I mean, to go with that, to go with that, there's, the sales rep that thinks they only need to follow up when updates are available, right? You get off of somebody's roof, they say they're going to file, right? One, that's wrong. You should try and have them file that day. People are busy. They're going to forget, right? You're going to be chasing around for the file and not even chasing around for the money. You're chasing around just for them to file, right? And it's with good intentions, I believe, that most sales reps are thinking, oh, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to blow them up. I don't want to screw it up, this, that, and the third. So they, don't follow up with them for 3 days, right? But in that 3 days, Ian and Art came by, and the very next day, I called them, right? Hey, I just wanted to let you know we still had you on top of our mind. We just went ahead and got an aerial measurement of your guys' roof. This is how many squares it is. I just wanted to let you know that I spoke with insurance today. They gave me an adjuster meeting. You should see that in your email, right? You should see that in your email here in a couple of minutes if you haven't gotten it already, right? And that one conversation changes the game, right? Because now I got them to file same day, right? I followed up with them the next day, sped up the insurance process by calling insurance and seeing if we can get an adjuster out there, sooner, right? Now they see the guy that still hasn't called them, right? In the time it took him to call them initially, make that first call back, make that first follow-up, because he's trying to be, I'd say, nice and not annoying, right? He's trying to be easygoing and not seem desperate, right? He hasn't even called them back yet. I've already got them to file and got their adjuster on the way. Right, I got their adjuster scheduled. Now, who do you think they're going to go with?
Yeah,
when
go with you.
He calls back, 3 days, right? He calls back after 3 days, and they're like, oh, sorry, we already got it taken care of, right? All because I followed up the next day, and I told them the importance of filing today, right? They already have a roofer, and now you're shit out of luck, essentially. Truly, 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 if anybody takes anything away from this today, and you let me know what you think, I think if you take away the fact that if you knock more doors, fanatical prospecting, right, stop getting off of work and turning the engine off, right? If you can knock for 30 days straight, actually knock for 30 days straight, and I mean door
Every
after
day.
door after door after door, and you take mental or physical notes, I don't care how you do it, right? Put it in your, I wouldn't put it in the phone because phones can be distracting, right? Unless you go and turn off apps like I do. I go and turn off the whole phone, right? But stop taking your phone out while you're knocking. Go ahead and knock until the sun goes down. Stop being nervous. Stop feeling like you're there bothering people. If you can do those 3 things, I promise you'll have a better, if you just do those for 30 days in a row, I promise you your next month will look like no month you've ever had before.
That's awesome. But I want to give you a leg up, or not so much you, but a person, a man or a woman, right, who wants to get into roofing because somewhere they read that they make good money. I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think the average income is in the Austin, Texas area?
I know the average income for a household is about $120,000, depending on how far into the, if you're looking at the greater
Dual
Austin
income.
metro. Yeah, if you're looking, whatever, I think the average household income is anywhere from 120 to 140, and that's calculating all incomes in the household.
Correct. So I'm reading Google, and while you're talking, I Googled average income for the Austin area, and it says $34.32 per hour, translate to an annual salary of about $71,000, $71,500 for full-time workers. The median household income in Austin is about $91,000.
Wow, that's significantly lower than I thought it was.
This is just what Google's throwing at me, right?
Yeah.
I'm not, and this is Art Espinoza, and anyone who knows me real well, I'm not tech savvy. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I'm not tech savvy. You, my man, are tech savvy. This is why we make such a good partnership. But if you would have told me that, I would have said, no way, come on, are you serious? And think about the price of homes nowadays, right?
Yeah.
So I was very comfortable. I've been in construction all my life since the age of 13, doing pools with a family friend. Homes. I've owned a landscaping company. I've owned a roofing company twice, right? And then I sat in my dealership, a very good dealership, I think. Great people. I mean, everybody was family.
Yeah.
Love these people. But I just got tired of the actual grind and never getting a weekend off. That was irritating to me. So I wanted to move on. So I happened to run into a friend who was a cell phone salesperson, and I would go and buy all my phones from him. So one day he comes in, he said he wants to buy a truck. I said, what kind of truck do you want? An F-250. I said, what do you need an F-250 for? Right? He's, well, I opened up my own roofing company. Right? So I sat there, and he and I, and you know this gentleman, and sold him a truck. Right? This is what I did. And he said, Art, we've been knowing each other for like 7 years. I said, yeah, it's been pretty cool. I really appreciate your service. And I'm glad that I could be of service to you to get you in a good, nice truck at a good price. He says, man, that's great. He goes, have you ever thought about selling roofs? I said, well, I used to do that. He goes, you did? I said, sure did. I said, I can't believe you're doing roofs. Did you know anything about roofing? Well, to be honest with you, I really didn't. But I had to learn, right? This guy was a hustler.
Yeah.
Is a hustler.
Yeah, he is.
So he went out there and did what he did. And so he would call me about, the truck needs this and da. So he'd come in and, like, well, what are you doing here? And he would say, yeah, I just want to see if you're willing to make a change in your life to make some serious money. Now, grant you, he's looking at my foolish body and looking at me and saying, are you serious? I know you can do it. I'm like, bro, I'm a salesperson. That's what I do. I can do that, no problem. Yeah. I go, but you know what? Complacency, right? You get complacent. You're used to what you're doing, and you live to what you are.
I mean, yeah, you did it for 14
years, bro, and I was very successful at it. I think I was. Yeah. And I know there's managers in that dealership that would say and vouch for me that, I was very good at what I did.
No, absolutely.
Long story short, he said straight up, look, you don't even have to quit your job. This is what I want you to do. I want you to write a list of 100 people that you know. Well, I've got 1,200, 1,700 people on my phone, right? Yeah. Do 100 of them. Send them a quick text telling them, hey, look, I'm doing roofs. If you have a problem or you have an issue with your roof, please give me a call. Yeah. I'm willing to help you, whatever it takes. That's all I did. Right? So then I thought to myself, you know what? I have a dear friend, Roger. He's one of my dearest friends. I can get into a big old story about that guy. That guy was my ride or die. He still is to this day. Yeah. One of my dearest friends. When you can trust a friend when in your darkest hour of need, this guy showed up to help me out. Yeah. Okay? Love this guy. I mean, this guy is everything to me. And I called him, and I had totally forgot that he was what? He was an insurance agent. Totally forgot about that, right? Because we've known each other for 20 plus years now. Yeah. So I told him, I said, hey, buddy, if you ever have a problem with, because I called that one guy, right? Just thinking, right? Because I want to get out of the car sales thing by now. Yeah. And I go, hey, man, look, is there any way that if you ever have a problem with your roof or you know somebody, right? Mm-hmm. He goes, yeah, I get a lot of people I have a lot of customers who have issues with hail, and so, yeah, I'll give you an opportunity and see if there's someone that needs to be helped. I said, great. That's all I did, Ian. I didn't do nada else, right? I had no intentions of leaving. Do you know the very next day, my buddy calls me and says, man, you son of a gun. I'm all like, what? He goes, you are such a son of a gun. I'm all like, what are you talking about? He actually used the choice words, but I'm just keeping it clean. Yeah. And he says, do you know that I just got hit with about 30 minutes of 2.5 inch hail? I said, man, that's tough luck. He goes, well, when are you going to come out here and inspect my roof? I said, man, I guess I could do it tomorrow, Saturday. It was a Saturday. I called my buddy. I said, hey, look, man, I sent all those texts that you told me to do. And I called my buddy who happens to be an insurance agent. And, come to find out there's been a hail in Leander. He's all like, oh, really? Yeah. So to his credit, he comes out with me on a Saturday. It was like maybe 2:00. So we show up to the first house, Roger's house, and Roger goes, hey, my neighbor across the street, He needs someone to inspect it. And my neighbor next door, he needs an inspection. I'm thinking, really? You got to be kidding me. He goes, yeah. So I get my guy, my friend, the owner of the business. He gets up on these 60 square roofs, and they're like 8-10 pitch. Right. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm like, man, this is not what I'm going to do. Not my first day. No way. I ain't dying today. So he gets up to his credit, and I became the ladder carrier. Right. He made a joke of it because, oh, man, all you're doing is carrying the ladder. But I took all the pictures of the ground, all the windows, all the collateral damage. He got up on the roof, took a bunch of pictures and stuff. We get down. We do the next door neighbor. We do the neighbor across the street. And then the neighbor across the street says, hey, I got a guy who lives the next street over. He needs to get an inspection. John ended up being one of my best friends too. Such a great guy. So I go up to John, I knock on the door, we do the inspection. I say, hey, John, if you help me out, man, I really would appreciate it. You know, if you know any other neighbors. Well, I know that guy. Well, come to find out that guy was my buddy Ricky that I've known forever. I've sold him a bunch of cars, right? We do his inspection. He says, hey, go across the street. He's going to do another inspection. And then John comes running up and goes, hey, I got my other neighbor. He wants to do an inspection, the neighbor across the street. So in a matter of 8 hours, those 10 plus leads turned into, and within 6 months, more money than I did in a whole year and my best year selling cars.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to brag. What I'm trying to say is there's a process to everything.
Yeah.
If you hire people, and we are looking for these kind of people, right? We want those people to show up, listen to what we got, because we've learned a lot through trial and error.
No, absolutely.
Right? Because I would venture to say that my last 2 employees that I worked with, they would say, well, Art's great. He's a great salesman, but he's not very good with the technical aspects of computers, this, that, and the other. I've gotten a lot better with your help, right? But guess what you did? You invested time to help me out.
Yeah.
That's the big difference. Sometimes when a company blows up and gets real big, you forget about that. Yeah. And we've already talked about when we get there, we're going to hire someone who's going to do that specifically.
Yeah.
Right? So again, as long as you're willing to invest, more importantly, do what needs to be done for your success, you can make life-changing money doing what we do. Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that story because I thought, everybody has a story. I don't think there's anything about me that makes me that much better except for the fact that I'm very competitive. There's a lifestyle I want to live, and I want to be able to provide for my loved ones. And even to this day, I want to make my kids proud.
Yeah.
Right? And my kids are older. They're 34, 32, and 29.
Yeah.
And those kids are, to me, I couldn't be any prouder of those kids. But I also want to do something that they're going to say, yeah, my dad was a hustler.
Yeah.
Right? When it's all said and done.
And when it's all said and done, I think everybody wants to be remembered, for the things that they left on this earth, whether they were,
absolutely,
and hopefully they're good. And hopefully,
I'm glad you said that though too. But the other thing, the reason why, remember, you called me, so I give you the credit, and said, "Hey, man, let's do this thing. This is what I bring to the table. I know you're a hell of a salesman. Let's make this rock." To your credit, I thank you for that. Right. But the experience that you and I have and the expectations that we have are very mutual. That's the one thing that works. The difficult part is hiring people that expect more in life. Yeah. Right? Because if you expect more in life, we're going to help you get there.
Yeah. And I think a thing that plagues this world today is people don't have they don't have high enough standards for themselves. And I think there is a barrier that social media has placed on everybody that they'll never be the people that they see online. Because there's, and a lot of them are faking the funk too. I don't want to hate. There's people that are doing successful and they post pretty shit online. But with access to social media, we have begun to continuously compare our lives to unrealistic lifestyles, right? And the feeling that you get of being a bum while you're at home sitting down and you open up Instagram and there's some dude on a PJ filming his experience on the private jet, and 3 hours later he posts that he's on a jet ski in the middle of the Caribbean, right?
Right.
You know, and
Unrealistic
you
expectations.
You see that, and, you know, silently in the back of your head, you think, I must be less than that guy. I must not be as capable. That guy's younger than me, or that woman's younger than me, and they're doing way better than me, right? My only hope is that after today's conversation, after today's episode, people walk away knowing that they can do more, they should do more, and if they do more, they'll earn more. And I think if they take anything away from the podcast, it should be that. And whoever said that money does not buy happiness hasn't had enough money.
Correct. You know, and the thing about that is too, though, I mean, you put it, that was perfectly said. And I will tell you that I was brought up real poor. I mean, we barely made it. In 100 years, if you would have told me that I'd be where I am today and had the success I've had with raising, with my ex-wife, 3 wonderful human beings, that's probably, I mean, that right there would have been enough for me. But expectations of what you can achieve in life, don't let your environment, your current environment, dictate your future.
Yeah.
Jump like crazy for better opportunities.
Absolutely. I think that brings us to a tell.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think that we had a nice little conversation.
No, absolutely. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for being here today. As always,
well, I have no choice. I'm your partner, buddy. We got to make this work.
Try to hold me. I'm an OG, and that's the old me. The way I'm sitting nowadays, I'm wanna stay 9 ways. I'm sipping on a latte. Why they all call me bougie? I don't want no prayers from no